This is my additional video about how Evaluate is going to either impact my classroom or how it has already impacted my classroom. For Standard D, the online teacher promotes student success through clear expectations, prompt responses, and regular feedback. Well, here you can see for a discussion post, students provided, well, first they posted and then students provided feedback, and then I provided feedback as well. The island project your team created provided all the components required in a creative manner. I really appreciate the thought you placed on making sure the community had all they needed to survive: hospital, food, energy, water, etc. Like your peers, I agree the drawing needs some color, and that care with spelling and writing with darker color would have been helpful. There's some positive, and then there's some constructive quality feedback to let them know what are some things specifically they could have done to make it better. Here's another example for the weather prediction investigation report. This is an argument-driven inquiry activity. They were divided up into groups. They had to predict the weather, and then they have to write a argument-driven inquiry lab report. As you can see, there's three paragraphs or three sections to this report. There's the introduction and guiding question section, the method, and the argument. The peer reviewer goes through and either answers no, partially, or yes. If they answer partially or no, they have to go down here to the reviewers section and explain what the issue was. Now, when the author gets the rubric back, if they choose not to make any of the changes, they have to document it here. Okay, there are clear expectations. I mean, it clearly tells you what needs to be in every paragraph. And then the instructor score is here. Standard G, the online teacher demonstrates competencies in creating and implementing assessments and online learning environments in ways that ensure validity and reliability of the instruments and procedures. Here's two examples of constructive response questions that I would have. This one, this is a student submitted the following labeled cloud diagram, find all the errors and correct them. And then here, using the map on the left, this is an argument-driven inquiry setup where they have to use this map to answer this question, and then they have to justify it. Now, the above are examples of assessment questions that could be used in the online environment. Setting time limits and having the assessment require constructive responses would add validity and reliability. And also, while they're taking the assessment, I could have them have their webcam on as well to ensure validity and reliability. The online teacher, the same standard. Well, let me see. Nope, not the same standard. Okay, for Standard H, the online teacher develops and delivers assessments, projects, and assignments that meet standards-based learning goals and assesses learning progress by measuring student achievement of the learning goals. Well, in my Earth Systems course, I've used a variation of this, but I plan to use the following unit study. It'll be housed on Canvas, but not all assignments are computer-based. Many require the students to create offline and then submit an image or video of his or her product. It's divided into 4 parts. Each assignment has clear instructions and rubrics on Canvas to support learners. The summative assessment will include a Canvas assessment as well as a constructive response portion. The standards are stated here. These are the old standards. Obviously, I'm going to have to change them to the new next generation science standards. But here's Unit 1. This is something that should be able to be created in like a week and a half, tops. Actually, really, it should be a week. Okay. Here's this, Part 2. Part 3, and then Part 4 includes the review menu, the summative, and then the unit reflection. I always try to get them to kind of reflect on what they've done. This would be something that they could also monitor themselves. They would be writing their scores down that they receive on these assignments on this sheet. Standard I, the online teacher demonstrates competency in using data from assessments and other data sources to modify content and to guide student learning. Well, after reviewing this data above, I assign remediation assignments via Canvas for those students who did not meet expectations on the assessment. This included videos, activities, and review games to reinforce the content that they needed. And then they would be reassessed. Another example, in preparation for the summative assessment, students have to take a practice test, and based on that score, they choose products to create. If a student scores 90 or above, they move on to the size which is the constructive response practice section, and then if time allows, they complete the dessert option for enrichment. As you can see, there's a variety of choices. They have 3 choices. Most students that fall below 80, they usually choose either Study Stack, which is a phone app. I think it's also on the computer, or which allows you to do like Hangman. It's very similar to Quizlet, but it has more options and more like games to go along with it. And then, or they like to do the index cards, but I prefer that they do either Quizlet or Study Stack. These guys right here, they're the 80-89. They usually don't miss that many questions, so most of them choose to do like a study sheet or a study guide kind of thing, maybe kind of like Cornell Notes or something like that. But they have options. Most of all, I want to end this by saying that this Evaluate capstone module, it allowed me an opportunity to really reflect on things. My philosophy is always that you don't want to wait too long or let students get too far behind before you actually address issues. If you don't conduct a lot of formative assessments and check regularly for understanding, then you are going to have a very frustrated student. So this Evaluate allowed me to explore some different options, to learn about new methodologies like the competency assignment. It allowed me to learn how to make some learning objects. I'd never really made any. I've used them before, but I've never made my own. So I really feel like that Evaluate's going to have a true impact. You really are not an effective teacher if you are not assessing regularly. You have to assess in order to personalize learning. So oftentimes I'll do projects and they'll be tiered. Sometimes my assessment constructive responses are tiered. So it's just very key that it's standards-based lesson plans as well as you're regularly assessing in order for you to truly have an impact on student learning.